Greetings, fellow Demon Slayers. This is Taimanin Mari here today with another video. Before we get started, as per usual, I do want to say thanks to anyone who has joined the Discord. The members are going up nicely. The link will be in the description if you want to come hang out, shoot the breeze, talk about the game, or other stuff. So, we do have the new weekly update. I'm sure everyone knows by now we have the new Chapter 7 added to the game. Overall, really enjoyable story, a little bit too wordy for my taste. I felt like I was doing a lot of reading as opposed to playing, but it did a good job of fleshing out Emily's character. I really like her. I also like the dynamic between her, Sagi, and Murasaki. I won't spoil anything because I'd like for you guys to experience it yourself, but overall, Emily is cute as a button. The mole above her chin is super adorable. And I certainly look forward to her being added, so I can potentially simp for her. So that's enough of that. The only other thing I have to say is, if you can get through hard mode, that will be 150 gems in your pocket, so kudos to them for adding new content so we can get some more gems outside of the usual avenues. Same thing in your mailbox. If you haven't checked it already, you will have received the 50 gem consolation prize from the contest, or if you're in the lucky top 10, you would have received anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 gems depending on where you place. So make sure you go and collect those. I think they also gave us 3 AP potions, which is neat because it just allows people to get through the story without being too punished by it and without it isolating them from dailies. But the real prize, of course, is that Shiranui is now available for gems. As you can see, she no longer has the date over her character art, so everyone can purchase her as long as they saved up 1,000 gems. I will say again, I don't think she's that great in PvP. People are saying they're having success with her, like outside of the top 100. In the top 100, she seems a bit lackluster, personally. Someone did share a full blue build for her though, so basically, let me go to another character that would have the build. So as far as supporters, you just basically throw these on. Fuma is the main, Mai, Haruka, usual staple build. And that does seem to be helpful on her in PvP if you do want to try it. Cocytus would be the main weapon to use. Like, my Shiranui has dirt gear, so I wouldn't bring her into PvP, but if you have Cocytus, you can try that. And as far as the skills, I believe people were saying to use the Kazegurama, and he was also using Ganijin and the Sogetsuin, if I'm remembering the build correctly. The other skill I would say you could use, is if you want to take out the Sogetsuin and just leave the Kazegurama, you could remove that and run Ganijin as well as Ganai Sakai, because it ports her behind the enemy. And it would give her a little damage buff, so basically she Ganai Sakai's to the enemy, and then you would be able to Kazegurama them in a PvP setting. And then the Ganijin would just be the clone coming out, but also reducing your damage taken. So she has two 20% damage buffs going both ways on 2 dodges, with Kazegurama being your main DPS. Again, I don't feel she's that great in PvP, but if you want to try her, that would be my suggestions. So, you know, it's up to you what you want to do. Like, overall though, she is really good in PvE. I have no issues with her there. She's borderline overpowered, I feel. It's just PvP that I feel she has shortcomings. As far as PvE, you all have seen my build video, I'm sure, but I'll just reiterate, what I would run is the Ganijin, the Sogetsuin, and then Taimanin Art Waterflow. For supporters, it would be Homura and Renka, and Karu would be the main. The reason for that is because of the main set for the green supporters. would increase her speed by 15% for 10 seconds on only a 13-second cooldown. So you have over 90% uptime on this speed buff, and speed increase doesn't just increase movement speed, it increases how fast she attacks, and I believe the clone attacks faster as well. And then with the two red supporters you're running behind Kaworu, you would just simply have increased damage of illusions by 50%. So the clone does a bit more while also attacking faster with you. And then the basic attack buff from her Taimanin art for the extra damage and particle regen. Again, as far as weapons, the build would be kind of critical heavy, so you could opt to use Shikigiri or Cactus in this instance. I would probably stick with the Cactus for the huge multiplier on the AoE as well as the CC it provides, and run Shikigiri or an S level 5 super rare as your alt weapon. And I would run all red Magatama on all builds for her. As far as her skill training, I focused basic attacks first, critical rate, and then I moved on to cooldown, and then kind of like swapped off to ultimate because her ultimate did feel a bit weak. Idealistically though, you wouldn't have to go for ultimate first if you have a Cocytus, as you would be using that weapon ability over her ult, as it would probably add up to more damage. So it would go basic, crit, cooldown, or ultimate depending on what gear you have for her weaponry, and then the skill damage. Her skill damage is great, but like a lot of Shiranui's damage is going to come off of her basic attacks. I've showcased her a bunch of times in previous videos. I just wanted to kind of give people a crash course in case they don't want to backtrack to see those vids. If you want to see gameplay, I guess I can link the build vid for her in the description so you can actually see it being used in hard dailies. But I just wanted to, like I said today, give a crash course, give people basic information about how I would play her in case, they're still unsure. The other thing I want to point out is how supporters work with abilities. It was asked in the server today, and I do understand there are still new players coming in, so I'll just go ahead and give an example. So we're going to go to her supporters, and we're going to take Major off completely, or it won't work, and then we'll take away Homura. Okay. So when you're trying to activate skills on your abilities, as you can see here, Taimanin Art Water Flow, anything that's colored yellow would work with any colored supporter. So you see, since I took off two supporters, only one of these abilities is active. Next we'll look at Ganijin. It was actually being activated before because we had two red supporters on. But as you can see now, it is inactive because we only have one. So if I simply go put Homura back on, just find her, there she is, and go back to the skill, now you can see that this is active. Increased damage of illusions by 50%, but looking at the other skills, because she's not wearing two green or two blue, those would not be active. Now if we look at the Sogetsuin, I suggested using Kaworu as the main because of her speed buff that she would provide for being an assist supporter. So if I just borrow Kaworu from Yuki for a second, throw her on, you will see here now this ability is highlighted and able to be used. And you will see that the Taimanin art is also fully highlighted because she's wearing 3 of any colored supporter. So we'll go ahead and just give that back to Yuki, but I just wanted to give you guys a crash course in how activating skills work as far as the supporters. I know if you're a new player, you may not have all the colored supporters you need to get the build going, let alone the staples, but I just wanted to point it out because it was a bit confusing for me when I first started. It took me a minute to realize, oh, that's how I activate these abilities. So I wanted to point that out and kind of give you a Shiranui crash course for people who may not have seen the build video. Apart from that, that's really everything that is there to cover. We still have one more week left to the event, so anyone who hasn't gotten their hands on their S level 5 Katajina, make sure you do get in here and get it done. So you have her before she goes away next Monday. And besides her, you have chapter 7 to do to fill your week out. Like I said, the story was a bit wordy. I felt like I was reading a lot, but I do appreciate the in-depth, like it was really in-depth. It was really like a lot of dialogue. It felt like I was playing the VNs again. So while I did feel like I was reading a lot for my taste, I didn't dislike it. But it was a lot of reading, so be prepared if you let the character voices play for like immersion to be sitting there for like an hour and a half. Like I actually started skipping after I read the text, but I generally let voices play to just enjoy the immersion, but not with this story. It was a lot. So if you let the voice tracks play, roughly about an hour and a half, like, to get through the story, because that's just that much dialogue. But it's worth it. You really will get a good look at Emily, which I like because I don't recall her being in any other Taimanin game that exists, so it's nice to get to know her a little bit. So, with that, if you found it helpful, I do hope you like and subscribe, as it really does help out the channel. Again, Discord link will be in the description for anyone interested in joining. From there, you guys have a great rest of your day. May you have good luck in your gachas and in the arena. And I do hope you guys enjoy the new story as well as Emily's company. You all take care.